The series opens with Mr. Tay, the deputy director of an all-girls school named Satriller Lauti, giving a tour of his institution to the guardians. We learn that the students here are grouped together in classes depending on a score that is built upon their exams, class participation, and extracurricular activities through an app. The students and parents can keep track of their progress and know how many points they have. The A class consists of the top 16 students, rewarded with private dorms, private libraries, and even private cafeterias. They're offered top-notch amenities thanks to their exceptional profile skills. Mr. Tay ends the tour with a lot of zeal, only to discover that the school's assembly board has been vandalized by a group of vigilantes known as the Black Sheep. This covert group wants justice, equality, and peace within the school grounds, as they believe the school's rating system is corrupt and discriminates against students based on their scores. A class students get clear privilege while others are treated poorly with regards to the facilities provided to them. Meanwhile, the series' main lead, Pong, and her friends are worried sick about their tests. They are among the top 16 in A class, so they don't want to risk blowing their exams. It's not only about dropping from a class to the lower classes for them, it's also about pride and dignity. Hong has been stressing that no matter how hard she tries, she always ends up in 6th position. Therefore, this time she has a strategy to ace the math test. However, this strategy only leads to her worst nightmare. The next scene shows her heroine and her friends sitting for the test. During this time, Punk was at her cheat sheet and copies the answers. Unfortunately, the sheet accidentally falls to the floor. Although she manages to hide it under the table, she is eventually caught after Pong is caught cheating on the final exam. The deputy director, Mr. Tay, deducts 8,000 points from her score, causing her to drop from 6th to 142nd place. This also causes her to move from a class to F class. Tam, one of her close friends who is also Mr. Tay's niece, reassures Pong that she will find a way to get back into a class on the first day in F class. The other students can tell Pong looks down on them, which creates some tension. She especially clashes with the class president, Mian. Although some girls are welcoming of Pong, Mian knows that this new student is no different from any of the other girls in a class who act superior and bully others. Later, the class teacher, Miss May, announces that they have to work on a group project. Pong repeatedly asked to work on the project alone, but she's refused. When she finally asks her classmates to join her, everyone says no. Frustrated about being snubbed, Pong sits alone by the school fountain when a young man approaches her. Our heroine is a little surprised to see a man lingering around an all-girls school, but the man introduces himself as T, the trainee PE teacher. He tries to cheer her up, but to no avail. Pong misses her friends, and most importantly, she knows how disappointed her parents will be in her. Later that night, Miss May shows Pong around the F-class dorms, which she thinks looks like a haunted house. Much to her dismay, she has to share the dorm with the other girls. During Pong's first night in F-class dorm, she tries to talk to the other students, but finds that none of them are at home. She sees one of her classmates named Meow walking from the dorms and follows her. After a while, Paul ends up at a secret base which the F-class students use to discuss plans. Here they refer to themselves as Black Sheep. Expectedly, Mion is the leader of the group. It's revealed that their plan for tonight is to cut down the access gate to the A-class students' cafeteria. Pong follows them, planning to tell the deputy director about it, but the other students spotted mentioned that if they go down, she will go down with them for being out past curfew. Hearing this, Pong follows them silently until they cut down the vandalism. Tam is appointed as the leader of the new student officers, which doesn't come as a surprise to any of the students, seeing her uncle as the deputy director. Later that day, Tam says that she found a way for Pong to rejoin the A-class. They both talk to Mr. Tay, who tells him that he suspects students from F-class to be members of the Black Sheep. He offers to return Pong to a class if she can prove that F-class students have vandalized the property and violated school rules. Since Pong wants nothing more than to get back into her old class, she accepts the deal to expose Mion and her friends. Next, our heroine tries to befriend F-class students by bribing them with sweets, but Mian and another classmate named don't fall for it later that day. The student courtroom, where student affairs are settled, holds a hearing in which Tam is judge. A friend of hers, Nam Kong, sits in it as lawyer for the defendant named Foam, as no one would dare set aside with a student who is not from a class. It turns out Foam is from B class. Meanwhile, Tam's other friend, also from a class, Meringue, serves as plaintiff and witness. Meringue claims that she spotted Foam reading the answers for the upcoming math test. In response, the latter claims that she only found the paper on the ground when Meringue spotted her, but as there are no other witnesses, she looks guilty. Just as Tam is about to make her decision, Mian, the representative for F class, speaks up. She boldly mentions that the rules state they have 3 days before a decision is made. Hearing this, Tam reluctantly announces that Foam has 3 days to gather evidence and prove that she's innocent, believing that justice must be served in the case won by truth. The members of the Black Sheep attempt to look for evidence to prove that Foam is indeed innocent. Pong offers to help, but Mian doesn't trust her heroine and shuts her down. The next scene shows Mian in her friends Cloud and Black Sheep costumes breaking into the school's security room where the CCTV footage is stored. Unfortunately, they learned that the camera wasn't working on that particular day. Just then they noticed another student's face on the camera from a different angle, but she is too far away to recognize. Therefore, there isn't enough strong evidence to bring forward in the courtroom. Nonetheless, the group does find out that the test paper found by Foam was not the actual math test paper, meaning that someone planted it there. In the meantime, Tam sends Pong video evidence that shows Foam picking up the paper from the ground and tells her to use it in the proceeding. Tam and her 18 want to close the case as soon as possible and find Foam guilty. However, Pong also wants justice for Foam, and therefore she goes around searching the whole building where the incident took place. After a while, she comes across a staff member who happened to be working at the time Foam felt the papers. The staff lady confirms that Foam often came alone to sit on the side of the building to study. However, that unfortunate day, she was seen with another student. The lady truly believes Foam is not at fault. On the third day of trial, Foam is still without any evidence. Consequently, Tam decides to give a ruling, but she is interrupted by 3 members. Just then, Pong's mother calls and asks if she wants to come home for the weekend, but our heroine says that she'd rather stay at the dorms to focus on studying. However, Mian later tells her that the F-class students are going to her house over the weekend, and Pong should tag along after some convincing. She goes with them. Next, the girls arrive at Mian's house, where it's revealed that she and T's parents passed away in a car accident a long time ago. Pong asked where T might be, and Cook teases are saying that our heroine might have a crush on him. However, Pong brushes it off by talking about their upcoming project. In the next scene, Mian tries to take Pong to a rundown warehouse, but her heroine doesn't want to, so she's offered a deal, and if she still doesn't like it, Mian will do whatever she wants. Upon reaching the place, Mian introduces Pong to her other friends. The warehouse is used for acting, dancing classes, skateboarding, and other leisure activities. Mian explains that her family owns the building and that she and T are trying to make it into a place where teenagers can come together and be themselves. To a haunted house where people have to burn incense sticks to ward off evil spirits. Our heroine commotion in the cafeteria while an E-class student waits in line for their drink. A B-class student cuts in line and takes her drink away. When the E-class student calls her out, the B-class student pours bubble tea all over her. Just then, Meringue and Tam intervene and tell the E-class student to apologize. This is entirely unjust. So, Cooking Meow, who witnessed it all, try to tell them that the B-class student is the guilty one, but Meringue doesn't care. Kook nearly gets into a physical fight with an A-class student, but Meow stops her, warning her that her scores will be dropped and she might even get expelled from school. Next, the E-class student is walking around the campus grumbling when all of a sudden she receives a text from Black Sheep vs about how they can help her. It turns out the text came from Tam and Meringue, who are trying to bait students by imitating the black sheep. Meanwhile, Tam calls Pong to ask where her black sheep uniform is, and our heroine says that she kept it at home. Before she gets to ask any questions, Tam hangs up. Next, Mayan convinces Mi Chong, cooking me out to join Pong for the group project and then go out for lunch. A video is then posted online where the aforementioned B-class student is tied to a chair and a person in a black sheep uniform pours bubble tea over her. When the girls get to lunch, they witness the E-class student picking another fight with the B-class student, telling her that as she slips up again, she will inform the black sheep again. Witnessing the situation and the girls realize that someone is trying to defame the black sheep by carrying out dirty work. Therefore, Mayan intervenes to calm the situation down. She nearly gets into a fight, however, other girls stop her, dragging her to the dorm. In the meantime, Pong tries to call Tam, but T is also in the hallway, so she just goes back to the dorm. There she tries to finish the group report, but one half of the girls are playing a mobile game while the other half is watching a drama. Meanwhile, in order to find out who the impersonator might be, Pong investigates on her own and discovers that Tam is the one in the video torturing the girls. It turns out that Tam had taken Pong's costume and impersonated the black sheep. Eventually, she finds Tam's A-class pin in the school's bathroom. It's come back to a class. Tam then asks for her pin back, but Pong says that she will only return it when Tam stops going after the black sheep. Meanwhile, T overhears their conversation between them and learns that Pong is actually working for Tam and her uncle, the school's deputy director. The following day, T confronts Pong about the conversation and asks her she's going to give the pen to me on or Tam. Our heroine says that she disagrees with Tam and truly wants to help the black sheep. T promises not to tell me on, but Pong needs to prove to him that she is worthy of this chance. Meanwhile, the black sheep are on the move again. At night, they sneak into the school computer room to hack into the computer system. However, the A-class student officers, including Tam and her friends, are on the lookout for them. Thankfully, Mayan's two friends managed to lure the officers away while the others complete their agenda for the night. The following day, however, the student officers try to frame an innocent E-class student to lure out the real black sheep. They blame the student for being a part of the black sheep and take her to court. In the courtroom, Tam, being the judge, announces the verdict, rendering the student guilty and giving her punishment. Meanwhile, the E-class students protest against her, saying that someone is trying to frame their friend. At F-class, Mayan and their friends realize the student officers are doing all this so that the real black sheep can show up and take the blame. Therefore, they have a strategy to calm the situation down while Tam is punishing the E-class students. A live video pops up in everybody's feed. It shows me on and the others clad in their signature costumes. Mayan then informs the viewers that everybody is in fact a part of the black sheep. Whoever fights for justice, equality, and impartiality are members of the black sheep. To everybody's surprise, she and her friends have hacked into the school's app to disable hate speech and everybody's individuals score for 3 days. In the next scene, an enraged Tam orders the school officers to track the black sheep's live location and arrest them. However, it turns out the video is actually a recorded one, making it impossible to track. When Tam gets to learn of this, she gets so frustrated that she lashes out at her own friends, yelling at them to bring me on at any cost. Once she is alone, Neon and the girls show up and reveal all the evidence against her. It turns out that the other night, the black sheep not only managed to hack into the school's app system, but they also gathered the CCD footage that shows Tam wearing the black sheep costume. When the evidence is thrown at her, Tam realizes that she could probably get into trouble, so she reluctantly agrees to stop impersonating the black sheep from now